Hey guys, welcome back to S2TV and part 3 of our ongoing series on the squat. We are doing a step-by-step or a joint-by-joint approach to the squat, looking at the mechanics and where your mechanics may be failing. The squat is one of the greatest exercises in the world when we're doing it correctly. If we're not doing it right, especially under load, we're definitely flirting with disaster here and moving towards injury. So I've wanted to do a tutorial for quite a while, especially for those of you who are doing online training with us who don't have me standing there every day correcting you. So I wanted to do a joint by joint approach to the squat, looking at not just the mechanics, but help you understand how you can test each joint and see if maybe there's some dysfunction in that joint, how you can begin to adapt some corrective exercise into your program, also some stretching and self-myofascial release. When we're looking at a corrective program, it really is these three things. We need adequate strength training or corrective exercises specific to the muscles that are underactive. We need to stretch overactive muscles and also use self-myofascial release like foam rollers, trigger points. But I wanted to talk today about the knee. And the knee is a very interesting situation in that there is nothing localized to the knee that we can really just come in and do some knee exercises. The knee is affected by the ankle and the hip below and above it. But there are some issues that people do have with knee pain during squatting that I wanted to go into first. The first is patella tendinopathy, and basically this is just an overuse tendinitis in the knee. It's quite painful. I'm not minimizing it. It's very common. We see a lot of people talking about knee pain directly on top of the patella or slightly above it. The next would be IT band syndrome, and everybody has heard of this. The pain is usually localized to the lateral or outside of the pain, or the bottom or the distal end of the IT band. It's largely caused from glute medius and piriformis in the hip that we'll talk a lot about later. Those muscles have shut down, and because of that, the TFL, the tensor fasciae latae in the front of the leg, becomes overactive, and then the IT band becomes overactive. So you see everybody all the time foam rolling this IT band because it's tight. Well, that's always a good idea, but until we activate those muscles, you're never going to get a release from IT band syndrome. This will just continue forever and ever until you remedy the real situation. The next would be patellofemoral syndrome. And this is basically the patella is not tracking correctly. And this is mostly caused from what's called a Q angle, where the knee and hip are completely out of alignment. The knee is usually in valgus, which means it's being pushed to the inside way too far mechanically for the patella to track correctly. This is pretty common, especially amongst women. We see a lot of patellofemoral syndrome. Last thing I want to talk about is ACL injuries. $2.5 billion a year we spend in this country on ACL tears, both in surgery, post orthopedic, PT. $2.5 billion. That's a lot of money to be spending on ACL tears. So when we look at the causes of knee pain and the issues that I was just talking about, even ACL tears and meniscus outside of blunt force trauma largely are caused from mechanical issues, instabilities in the hip and also the ankle that affect proper alignment of the knee, and then we get into overuse issues. It's a matter of time before we develop tendinitis and then often tears or cessation of exercise. So the best way to start to test for these, number one, is just to set up a normal body weight squat and see if your knees during the squat are moving to the inside or if they're moving to the outside. Now, a perfect body weight squat, remember, The knees should stay stable over top of the toe throughout the duration of the exercise. They shouldn't be moving to the inside and they shouldn't be moving to the outside. Now, if you perform a body weight squat, you do it pretty well, and you want to test further, what I would recommend is doing kind of a progression of tests. The next would be an overhead stick assessment, where you simply just take a dowel rod, place it over your head, and move into the squat. Outside of the back issues that you may see, the knee should stay stable above and in line with the toe, but this is a little bit more of a difficult test, and you might see valgus or varus. Once again, knees moving to the inside, knees moving to the outside. Let's say you perform this test and you're still like, that didn't feel great. I want to take it a step further. By and large, the best test right away, if you're able to do it, is a single leg lunge. So stand on one foot, place all of your balance on that leg, stick your arms straight out. That will help you with your balance, and then your hip moves back just like it would in a normal squat or lunge. You want to load that hip, go down about halfway, and stand right back up. Now, if you've got issues at hip or ankle, you will see the knee moving to the inside or the knee moving to the outside. Valgus or varus, very, very common, especially when you start setting up this test. Now, we see a lot of people that walk in with what's called pronation distortion syndrome, and that is when your feet are flat and both knees are in valgus. Pretty much walking that way, running that way. We see it quite a bit. This is it. This is a pretty big issue for a lot of folks. The other one is called lower cross syndrome, which is pretty common, and it's pretty much the same idea as pronation distortion syndrome. It's when we're seeing pretty much both valgus and varus at the knee. Now, trying to figure out, is this coming from my ankle? Is this coming from a hip? Is really a strategy best left to a corrective exercise specialist. But what you can do is start looking at these videos and performing these tests. During the single leg lunge, for instance, if you were to stand on a plate and kind of remove your calf from this process, it's a really good way to find out, is this coming from ankle instability? If we remove the calf from it, we take the plate away, and if we still see it, we know it's probably hip instability. So perform these tests, play with them a little bit. Unfortunately, when we're looking at the knee, there really is not a localized exercise corrective strategy for the knee. There's nothing I can do outside of just a leg extension to help remedy any of the above issues. These are issues that are being created at the ankle and the hip and need to be addressed there. So I hope this video helps you guys out a little bit. If you're having knee issues, go back and look at the ankle video. Start with that one. And then hopefully by the end of this week, we'll get the hip video released. And therein lies a big, big issue for most people who suffer with knee pain. Thanks for watching.